What's good, big times? It's RDL here, and today I'm gonna be talking about this movie called Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging. And before this video starts, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notifications so you don't miss out on more videos like this. And let's get straight into it. So starting off, we see Georgia in an olive costume and walking to a party while her dad tries to convince her to let him give her a ride to the party, but she refuses because she claims that she's a grown-up. So Georgia arrives at the party and gets made fun of for being the only one dressed up in a funny costume. She knows that none of her friends are wearing a funny costume like they were all supposed to. They all didn't do it because supposedly boys don't like girls who are funny. Man, the fact that I would be so angry if I was in her situation, cause you telling me you couldn't bother to call my house phone or something and tell me y'all were gonna wear normal costumes instead of funny ones? And not only that, but y'all literally let me show up to the party looking like a dumbass, knowing I'm gonna get made fun of relentlessly, and they sitting up there looking all guilty, like, y'all know y'all wrong for that, man. I mean, come on, that is odd behavior. Straight up L, man. After getting made fun of, she ran all the way home and destroys her costume, which she should have done in the first place. She takes down her photos and has an emotional breakdown. In the next morning, Georgia tries to do her eyebrows to prepare for her first day back in school, but her little sister messes it up for her and it doesn't turn out how she originally planned, so she used her hair to cover her eyebrow. During breakfast, Georgia talks to her parents, telling them that she's a grown woman even though she's barely turning 15. She also wants her birthday party to be in a club with a DJ, but they refuse and they tell her to enjoy being 14. Now, I don't know about y'all, but being 14 sucks. Being a freshman in high school sucks. But anyway, at school, she hangs out with her friends named Ellen, Rosie, and Jazz. During lunch, they see two new students named Robbie and Tom. They're fraternal twin brothers who are new in town from London and are also 2 years older than all four of them. Georgia and her friends spend all day stalking them and taking notes about them. After spending all day stalking them, Georgia returns home and she's forced to go with her parents to a family outing. Later on that night, Georgia and her friends have a sleepover / pizza party while talking about those twin boys, Robbie and Tom. We also find out that the twin boys' family owns an organic shop. Georgia wanted to get with Robbie while Jazz wanted to get with Tom. They also take a test where they rate each other's physical attractiveness. The others got good ratings while Georgia didn't. And the next morning, Georgia and Jazz went to the organic shop where the twin boys worked at to try to have a conversation with them. It goes pretty well for Jazz, while Georgia, on the other hand, not so much. But she did learn that Robbie is a cat lover. Although just before things could go any further, Georgia's mom unexpectedly showed up and low-key embarrasses her. Soon afterwards, Georgia finds out that Robbie is actually dating Lindsay, who happens to be a popular girl in school and is also her arch enemy. Georgia is sad because of this, but while talking to her friends, they came up with an idea where Georgia should be more like Lindsay. To learn how to be more like Lindsay, they start stalking her, and while doing so, they find out that she wears a thong and that she stuffs her bra with padding to make her breasts look bigger. Later on, Georgia visits a classmate named Peter at his house to get kissing lessons from him. Thanks to Peter, Georgia discovers that she's actually a natural at kissing, even though this is pretty weird and cringy. Like, seriously, do people actually take lessons in kissing? Because I feel like that should come naturally for everybody. Anyways, a little bit later, Georgia tries to convince her parents once again to let her have a party at a club with boys, but it doesn't work. Her father then makes an announcement to the family that he got a job promotion in New Zealand, and Georgia convinced her father that he should accept the promotion so that way she doesn't have to deal with trying to convince both her parents to let her have her dream party. Which is low-key kind of cold-hearted, because does she not realize that after she gets her dream party, she's not going to see her father as much as she used to anymore? But anyway, after convincing her dad to take the job promotion in New Zealand, she comes up with a plan to get with Robbie by pretending that her cat Angus is missing. Georgia asks Robbie to help her find her cat Angus, and he agrees to help her find him. While Jazz was distracted on Tom, she loses Angus for real because she lost her grip on the leash and he starts chasing after a dog. While Tom helps Jazz chase after Angus, Georgia is walking with Robbie pretending to find Angus while getting to know him more. After hanging out with each other for a while, Georgia discovers that Tom has helped Jazz find Angus, but they're having a hard time getting a hold of him, so Robbie stepped in to help them out. He was able to get a hold of Angus and calm him down. Robbie gives Angus back to Georgia, and Tom tells him that Lindsay called and that she's waiting for him at the beach. The boys tell them that they'll see them later, and just before they leave, Tom asks Jazz out on a date, and she accepts. A little bit later, Georgia returns home and hears her parents arguing. After they argue, Georgia talks with her father before he leaves for New Zealand and helps him pack his things. And the next morning, her father leaves for New Zealand and they all wave goodbye to him. Soon after he left, Jazz goes to Georgia for help on how she should look for a date. Afterwards, Georgia opens the door and sees that it's a interior decorator that her mom called to help rearrange the living room as a surprise for her dad. Georgia also notices that Jazz is starting to spend more time with Tom than her and her friends. During PE, Georgia gets confronted by Lindsay, who tells her to stay away from Robbie. While playing a sports activity, Lindsay pushes Georgia down to the ground. After PE, Georgia learns that her and all her friends are invited to a party that's happening later on at night. It's also the same one that Robbie is gonna be at. Jazz leaves to go with Tom. Georgia and her friends eavesdrop on Robbie talking to Lindsay about how she treated Georgia. Robbie spots them and tries to pretend that they weren't doing anything. Lindsay apologizes to Georgia just to keep Robbie in her good graces. Later on, Georgia and Ellen get ready to meet up with Jazz and Rosie at the party. Georgia's mom tells her that she has to babysit her little sister on the weekend while she goes to her salsa class. Georgia starts to suspect that her mom might be cheating on her dad with the interior. Georgia and Ellen are at the party waiting for the rest of the groups to show up. While dancing, Peter talks to Georgia and tells her that he's into her and tries to kiss her. Jazz, Tom, Robbie, and Lindsay ended up seeing this, and this made everyone think that Georgia and Peter are a couple. And the next morning, Jazz tells her that Tom and Robbie are going to be at the pool in the afternoon. Lindsay is not going to be there because she doesn't like getting chlorine in her hair, and she's also planning her own birthday party, which is the same time as Georgia's. Georgia uses the opportunity to go to the pool while also babysitting her little sister. She talks with Jazz and tells her that she accidentally made her legs turn orange while trying out some tanning cream. She tries to hide her legs with a towel. Jazz takes Georgia's little sister with Tom to babysit, while Georgia and Robbie spend more time together at the pool. Georgia explains to Robbie that she and Peter are not a couple and that it was just a misunderstanding. While doing handstands, Georgia accidentally revealed her orange legs to him and is slightly embarrassed about it, but Robbie doesn't care too much and they kiss each other for a little bit. After they kiss, Robbie told her that he has to leave to sort things out and that he will call her later. Georgia is very happy that she finally kissed Robbie and is waiting on him to call her. While waiting, Georgia gets a phone call from her dad and he tells her and her mother that he wants them to join him in New Zealand. But Georgia doesn't want to go and she lets her parents talk to each other alone while waiting for Robbie to call her. She hears the doorbell ring and answers the door thinking it's Robbie, only to find out that it's Peter. He tries to ask her out again, and Georgia lies about being a lesbian so she could get him to back off. While at the school library, she daydreams about her and Robbie being together. A boy named Dave passes notes to Georgia asking her if she was truly lesbian, and Georgia quietly answers no. Georgia also asks him what Robbie said, and they told her that Robbie knew that she was not a lesbian. They asked him if she was going to a rock concert gig called the Stiff Dillons on the weekend, which was something that she was unaware of. While I was researching, I also found out that the Stiff Dillons were actually a real band, but they never had a chance to release an album and they disbanded in 2008. And the lead singer of that band is a songwriter in the music industry. He wrote songs for people like Carly Rae Jepsen, Lana Del Rey, Dua Lipa, and many more. But anyways, back on topic. Later on at night, Georgia finds out that Lindsay moved her party to the same day as Georgia because she saw Jazz's designs for the party invite. She was showing them to Tom and Lindsay took them from her. Georgia is very upset about this because she knows that no one is going to be at her party because of Lindsay. She's also very upset that she hasn't seen or heard from Robbie since their kiss at the pool. Her mom goes to check up on her and gives her a book to help her understand boys more. She spends the night reading it, and the next morning, Georgia comes up with a plan to make Robbie jealous by going to the rock concert gig with Dave. After the rock concert was over, Robbie was going to go to talk to Georgia but got interrupted by Lindsay. While walking home, Dave admits that he likes Georgia, but Georgia secretly doesn't like him back. And the next morning at school, Dave tells Georgia that he found out from Jazz and Tom that she went out with him just to make Robbie jealous. He also tells Georgia that she's a heartless person who uses people for her own benefit. During PE, Georgia confronts Jazz and they get into a huge argument. During the argument, Georgia blames Jazz for messing up her chances to get with Robbie, and Jazz tells her that it's Georgia's own fault that she's not with Robbie because of all her schemes and constantly pretending to be someone she's not. She also tells Georgia that she's more fake than Lindsay is. Because of this, Georgia vows to never talk to her again, and Jazz tells her that she's going to Lindsay's party instead of hers. Georgia gets angry and kisses her in the chin and gets sent to the principal's office. She gets punished by being forced to pick up trash while it's raining outside. Robbie confronts Georgia about her using Dave, and Georgia asks him why he never called her after their kiss. Robbie tells her that he was planning on breaking up with Lindsay before calling her, but he changed his mind after seeing her with Dave and finding out that she told Jazz that her brother wasn't good enough for her. Georgia tells him that she didn't mean it, and Robbie tells her that he thought she was different but was proven wrong because of her selfish behavior. During the weekend, while babysitting her sister, Georgia sees her mother doing salsa dancing with a guy who is redecorating their living room. She goes to her father's workplace to see if she could talk to his boss, but he's unavailable. Georgia starts venting to the receptionist about how much she misses her father and doesn't want her family to be separated. Later on that night, her mom returns home from salsa dancing and Georgia made dinner for them. She also tells her mom that she no longer wants a birthday party and wants to move to New Zealand to be with her dad. She slowly starts to become more mature by throwing away a couple old habits and developing new ones. Later on, Georgia goes to the beach to talk to Robbie and apologizes to him and admits that she was jealous that Jazz had a boyfriend. Robbie reveals that he broke up with Lindsay the night before. He also admits that he still likes Georgia even though he thinks she's insane. He asks her if they could go out together, but Georgia tells him that she's moving to New Zealand because she doesn't want her parents to be separated. Despite this, the two of them start hanging out again. And the next morning, Georgia wakes up to her family singing happy birthday and a cake with candles. She opens an envelope and sees that it has money in it. Her mom tells her that they're going out dancing at a brand new nightclub and suggests that she wear something nice when they go there. Later on that night, Georgia and her mom goes to the new nightclub and it seems empty at first, but it turns out to be a surprise birthday party for her. Georgia and Jazz forgive each other. Her father is also back from New Zealand because he was offered a new job position back in town, which means they don't have to move to New Zealand. Georgia also found out that the interior decorator that she thought her mom was cheating on her dad with was actually gay, and his boyfriend is the one who owns the club that they're at and helped arrange Georgia's birthday party. We also see that Noah showed up at Lindsay's birthday party. Robbie performs at Georgia's birthday party with his band. While performing, he gets interrupted by Lindsay and demands that he chooses between her and Georgia. Robbie immediately chose Georgia, and Jazz embarrasses Lindsay by removing her paddings. Lindsay ends up leaving feeling embarrassed. After she left, Georgia and Robbie kiss each other. Georgia finally appreciates everything that she has in her. I think this movie was above average despite its cringy moments, and the soundtrack definitely fit the tone of this movie. The acting was pretty great, and Georgia is low-key kind of an unlikable character because the way she was during this movie reminded me of Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Her friend Jazz didn't know when to be quiet. Jazz is practically that friend that you never tell your secrets to because she will not keep her mouth closed. Also, you rarely get to see Ellen and Rosie, even though they're part of the friend group. You mostly see Georgia and Jess together and not the whole friend group. Lindsay was also barely in this movie too. I know we're not supposed to like Lindsay because she's supposed to be the main antagonist, but I don't really hate her because she wasn't in this movie enough for me to hate her. And Peter, he was a pretty weird guy, especially with the part where he tried to kiss Georgia at the party, even though she didn't want to. I don't know if this part was supposed to be funny or not, but I'm pretty sure in real life this wouldn't be funny at all. I also like how at the end, Helen got with Dave, even though I feel like this happened out of nowhere and was probably added in so Helen doesn't end up being the only one in the friend group without a boyfriend. It's crazy how Rosie supposedly has a boyfriend and we've never seen him at all. But despite how Georgia was acting throughout this movie, she did have some character development. She went from being insecure about her looks to being a little bit more confident and a little bit more mature. The storyline is not exactly unique, but it is something that you would expect from a coming-of-age romance movie. And from this movie cover, it looks like something that I would see on the cover of a Disney movie. And you would think from this cover that it was gonna be kid-friendly, but no, it's not too inappropriate. But there are a couple scenes in innuendos where you're kind of just like, okay, now I see why this is PG-13. This movie was obviously made for kids that are in middle school. At first, this movie was released in the United Kingdom on July 25th in 2008. It was also released in Germany on August 28th in the same year. And 2 years later, on January 19th in 2010, it finally premiered on Nick at Night and Teen Nick. It was also released on DVD not too long afterwards. Despite the film never getting released in movie theaters in the US, it did surprisingly well and made almost $15 million in the box office. I also found out that this movie was actually adapted from a book with the same name by an English author named Louise Renison. This book was the first one in her book series called Confessions of Georgia Nicholson. She made a total of 10 books with Georgia Nicholson. The author of this book had unfortunately passed away at the age of 64 on February 29 in 2016 from unknown causes. The main reason why I just now found out about this movie is because I was doing research for my video where I was going to talk about this movie called Fun Size starring Victoria Justice. For the longest time, I thought this was Nickelodeon's first PG-13 movie, but all along, it was actually this movie, Angus, Thongs, and Purpose Snogging. And on my next video, I will be talking about Fun Size, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications so you don't miss out on more videos. And comment down below your thoughts and opinions, and let me know if I missed anything. And be sure to follow me on my other socials in the link of the description, and hopefully I will see you guys very soon, and until then, peace. Bust down, new flash, touchdown in a brand new